Thanksgiving is a wholesome time to come together with family, a time to eat delicious food prepared with love, a time to reflect on everything that you have to be grateful for. And when you really take a step back and look at this heartwarming holiday, you realize that Thanksgiving is seriously f***ed up. Hi, it's Emily from Bite Size Vegan, and welcome to another Vegan Nugget. Today's video is all about American Thanksgiving. Now, I'm not here to spoil your holiday or invalidate your family traditions. I simply want to take a look at both the origins of Thanksgiving and the current practices involved with its observance. Thanksgiving, for all of its warm and fuzzy feelings, is essentially the celebration of genocide with genocide. Let me explain. We're first going to take a look at the origins of Thanksgiving and then move on to the current practices. It may seem for a bit that I've gone off my vegan rocker into a history lesson, but I promise I'll bring it back to the animals. Now, there is a bit of debate about the actual date and circumstances of the very first Thanksgiving. Proposed dates range anywhere from 1565 to the latter 1600s. I'm going to focus on two of the more accepted accounts, one being a little more warm and fuzzy than the other. Please reference the blog post linked here and in the video description for further resources. One of the more highly cited and more wholesome feeling first Thanksgiving was in 1621 with the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag Indians. According to some of the scant records, Squanto of the Patuxet tribe, who had survived slavery under the English, negotiated a treaty between the Wampanoag Nation and the Pilgrims, an element of which offered mutual protection. The Pilgrims had just harvested their first crop and were exercising their arms, meaning firing their guns. The understanding is that Massasoit, the Wampanoag leader, heard this and came to the aid of the supposed attack. When he and his warriors arrived, they were invited to join the feast, though they had to return with more food as there wasn't enough for everyone. This feast apparently lasted 3 days. Today, this relationship established between the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims is mourned by the Wampanoag, who gather every year with hundreds of native people at Coles Hill overlooking Plymouth Rock for the National Day of Mourning, on what we know as Thanksgiving. Before 1616, the Wampanoag numbered between 50,000 and 100,000. The arrival of European traders brought along a deadly plague, which killed up to 2/3 of their population, while many others were captured and sold as slaves. And yet, these people still welcomed the Pilgrims. The second highly cited first Thanksgiving, and one much less wholesome feeling, occurred in 1637, and is said to be the first officially proclaimed All Pilgrims Thanksgiving. The Massachusetts Bay Governor John Winthrop declared this feast a celebration and thanksgiving for subduing the Pequots, one of the native tribes. It was essentially a victory feast for the massacre of the Pequot people. The Pequot had not agreed to the treaty that Squanto had negotiated with the Wampanoag. Their tribe had already been reduced from 8,000 to 1,500 by English-born diseases, and around the time of the massacre, the Pequots were celebrating their annual green corn dance ceremony. In the pre-dawn hours, English and Dutch mercenaries surrounded the sleeping Pequot and ordered them to come outside. Those who did were clubbed to death or shot, and those remaining inside shelters were burned alive. William Bradford, the former governor of Plymouth, described the massacre, saying, "Those that escaped the fire were slain with the sword, some hewed to pieces, others run through with the rapiers, so that they were quickly dispatched, and very few escaped. It was a fearful sight to see them thus frying in the fire. Horrible was the stink and scent thereof, but the victory seemed a sweet sacrifice." It was the day after this that Governor Winthrop declared a day of celebration and thanksgiving in honor of this horrific event. So that is the groundwork for our Thanksgiving holiday, built on the genocide and violent destruction of an entire people. Now, you may be saying that this is tragic and unexcusable, but it's not what people are celebrating with Thanksgiving today. The modern holiday is far removed from this showcase of our inhumanity. But I have to challenge this and say that while our thoughts and intentions may be nowhere near this historic genocide, our actions today are incredibly in concert with those historic settlers. You see, knowingly or not, we celebrate this original genocide with a second genocide, and that is the genocide of turkeys. Now, you may scoff at this concept of a turkey genocide, but what turkeys go through is nothing short of horrific, barbaric, and terrifying. According to the USDA, more than 45 million turkeys are killed annually in the United States just for Thanksgiving. That's 1/6 of all of the turkeys sold in the US each year. I just want to give a quick warning that some of the images I'm going to use in this next section may be disturbing to some viewers. I urge you not to look away, to give a voice to the millions of turkeys who have to go through this experience behind closed doors. But if you choose to look away, please do listen to the audio so that you still hear the information. And I'll play this tone when the footage is complete and you can look again. Before being slaughtered, turkeys spend their short lives cramped on top of one another, even in so-called free-range and cage-free facilities, terms which mean nothing. Just see this video of mine for more information on that. Due to these atrocious conditions, turkeys are rife with disease, respiratory infections, ulcerated feet, blistered breasts, and ammonia-burned eyes. They are pumped full of antibiotics, yet 75 to 100% of them still contain disease when they reach the slaughterhouse. They are bred to grow so fast and so abnormally large that they are made lame by their own weight, and often have to use their wings to reach food and water. Were a human child to grow at this rate, it would be 1,500 pounds by 18 weeks of age. Because of their size and inability to move properly, turkeys must be sexually violated in order to breed them. The males are assaulted for their semen, which is forcefully inserted into the females. At birth, turkeys are mutilated. They are painfully debeaked and detoed without the use of any anesthetic. When they are only 12 to 26 weeks old, turkeys are grabbed by their feet and jammed into crates without food or water and shipped off to slaughter. There is no law in the United States to regulate the treatment of turkeys during the catching, shipping, and slaughtering process. Once at the slaughterhouse, turkeys are strung up by their feet, which is especially painful for these unnaturally large birds. They may also be stunned by an electrified stunner or run through an electrified water bath so that their feathers come out more easily. They are fully conscious for this process and then have their throats cut. This is the process that is repeated 45 million times a year for American Thanksgiving alone, as we come to the table to show our thanks, very literally honoring our country's original genocide with the now longest running and bloodiest genocide of our species' history. So I'll say it again, Thanksgiving is seriously up. Now, all of that said, you can certainly have a vegan Thanksgiving and reclaim this horrific holiday for something that we can all be grateful for: delicious food free of cruelty. And on Friday, I'm going to show you exactly how to have an epically ethical Thanksgiving dinner, so stay tuned. For more information about the treatment of turkeys and other birds, check out the organization United Poultry Concerns, which I've linked in the blog post. And this year, during your Thanksgiving, perhaps take a moment to reflect on the extreme suffering inherent in this holiday, both historic and present, and honor the memory of those lost, both human and animal alike. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Thanksgiving and your traditions. Let me know in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and please share it around to spread the word. If you're new to Bite Size Vegan, make sure to hit that big red subscribe button down there for more awesome vegan content every Monday, Wednesday, and some Fridays. And for the best discussions about all of the Bite Size Vegan topics and happenings, and to support vegan messages like this, join us in the Nugget Army on Patreon. Now go live vegan, and I'll see you soon.